Hello and welcome to another episode of Codo Cinema, the podcast show where I talk about movies. I'm your host, Mark Codo, aka Codo Man. Well, folks, after the previous episode where I talked about the short film, which was Mickey's trailer, it's time to dive back into a full-length feature film. However, it's going to be a little different this time around because while I am talking about a full-length feature film, this is kind of a revisit, but also an anniversary as well. Because there's a movie that just turned 45 this year, and that movie, let's just say if you read the title right, that is right because I'm going to revisit the 1980 musical comedy The Blues Brothers, and of course to anybody who is listening, Codo Man, have you already talked about this movie? And yes, I have already with my good friend Joe Kennedy. To which Joe Kennedy and we talked about the Blues Brothers already a couple years ago. So that was actually during Codo. That is actually during my fifth season of Codo Cinema. So I did it back in the summer of 2023. So you could go check out my full breakdown on the Blues Brothers movie, to which Joe Kennedy and I already did. But now I am revisiting this movie once more because this movie is 45 years old, and of course, right with me is my brother Mike. So we got the two Codo brothers once more, but this time we're going to talk about the Blues Brothers. What do you think, Mike?
Yes, we are definitely going to talk about the Blues Brothers that came out 45 years ago.
That is right. Now, like I said, I've already done a breakdown of this movie already, so you could go check out that so after this episode, you could check out the other episode to which Joel Kennedy and we were talking about. Now, for this one, like I said, this is a revisit plus honoring its 45th anniversary with the stuff that we're going to talk about from the movies and of course trivia as well. So anyway, just to give a little background on our history of the Blues Brothers. We have seen this movie multiple times.
That is true.
Because we actually have the DVD at home, The Blues Brothers, which is actually a director's cut of the movie, so which basically has all the deleted scenes, which includes, some of the scenes that were never featured, plus some extended scenes as well.
With a runtime of 2 hours and 28 minutes.
That is right. Now, before we go further into the movie, to anybody who is listening, who is new to this podcast, welcome to Codo Cinema. And if you are listening to this through YouTube, Spotify, and Podbean, to the ones on YouTube, if you're listening to this for the first time on YouTube, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, as the Codo Cinema podcast is on YouTube. It is under my YouTube channel, Mark Codo, MarkCodo. Or, of course, if you're scrolling through YouTube, just type in Codo Cinema, that is CODO CINEMA, Codo Cinema, and the podcast will pop up right there. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more content on Codo Cinema. And of course, if you're listening to this through Spotify and Podbean, don't forget to follow the Codo Cinema on Podbean and Spotify as well. So make sure you hit the follow button on those platforms. All right. So there you have it, folks. So now let's get back to the movie. So anyway, just to continue on the history portion of the Blues Brothers. Blues Brothers is a 1980 American musical action comedy film directed by John Landis. It stars John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd as Juliet Jake Blues and Elwood Blues. And they were basically characters developed from the recurring musical sketch The Blues Brothers, both starring John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd. And of course, the Blues Brothers appeared on Saturday Night Live back in 1978. And of course, the script is set in and around Chicago, Illinois, where it was filmed, and the screenplay is by Dan Aykroyd and John Landis. And it features musical numbers by singers James Brown, Cab Calloway, Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles, and John Lee Hooker. It features non-musical supporting performances by Carrie Fisher and Henry Gibson. And of course, the tagline on the movie poster, and you probably heard this quote before, "They'll never get caught. They're on a mission from God."
That's right. They're on a mission to save the orphanage.
which is the main plot of this movie. They're basically on a mission from God to save the orphanage from from being shut down. They had to pay $5,000 in property taxes to save the orphanage, because the orphanage that Joliet, Jake, and Elwood Blues grew up, they basically grew up in that Catholic orphanage.
That's right.
And of course, to continue on, while they're on this mission, the Blues Brothers are being pursued by the police. Alongside the police, they're also being pursued by a mystery woman, neo-Nazis, and a country western band,
which is the Good Old Boys.
Yes, that is right, the Good Old Boys.
You're the Good Old Boys.
Yeah, the Good Old Boys, who were late to their show, which was basically closing time. I mean, why are they late? I don't know. They must have had a breakdown or something.
Probably.
All right. Now, anyway, like I said, this movie is 45 years old. So it came out on June 20th of 1980. So it's basically already 45 years old.
Time has gone by.
It sure has.
And this movie, The Blues Brothers, is filmed in Chicago, but it's in our own backyard.
That's right. So to anybody who's listening, Mike and I live in Naperville, Illinois. So obviously enough, this movie is filmed right in our own backyard in the city of Chicago, Illinois.
And of course, John Belushi also grew up in Illinois too.
That's right. John Belushi grew up in Chicago, Illinois, to which he went to the College of DuPage
along with his brother James Belushi.
That's right. James Belushi went to the College of DuPage. In fact, there is a theater at the College of DuPage named after the brothers themselves.
Yes, and speaking of which, I also went to a college at DuPage as well, and I graduated this year in May of 2025. I actually went to college at DuPage for 8 years, and I graduated this year in 2025.
Yep, that is absolutely true. And also, John Belushi actually went to Wheaton Central, which actually, to anybody who's listening, Wheaton Central is basically Wheaton, Warrenville South. But at the time, it was actually called Wheaton Central.
Wheaton Central?
Which is high school. Like he went there for high school, like when he was young. Like he was born in 1949, so around that time, so I'm assuming like back in the 60s. So like basically back in the 60s, it was back then. So I'm pretty sure like around the 60s, he was like in his teenage years. So basically around that time, it was still called Wheaton Central before they changed the name to Wheaton Warrenville South High School. So basically back then, when John Belushi went to school in Wheaton, it was actually called Wheaton Central.
Very interesting.
Yep, and like we mentioned, went to the College of DuPage, and of course also attended University of Wisconsin Whitewater as well.
Now going back to the Belushi Theater, the theater is so beautiful.
Oh yeah, beautiful theater.
Once you walked inside the theater, you can literally see everything.
I mean, that's a pretty good legacy too. Even though, despite the fact that John Belushi lived a short life, and it's really sad too because he did good on Saturday Night Live, and of course the Blues Brothers, including Animal House as well.
To which, funny enough, Animal House was directed by John Landis.
Right. So, I mean, I know it's sad that he passed away back in 1982. He had a promising career, but unfortunately, John Belushi had problems, with drugs, right? So and of course, this is also indicated during his time on Saturday Night Live, because apparently cocaine was frequently used by the cast and writers of Saturday Night Live. But unfortunately, Belushi's use of cocaine quickly got out of control, and he was temporarily banned from SNL, especially temporarily banned from the SNL set.
Oof, That is harsh.
In fact, this also happened during the production of the Blues Brothers as well, because John Landis confronted Belushi in this trailer after finding a stash of cocaine. And Belushi tearfully admitted his addiction during the argument. I mean, like I said, it's sad. Like, it's really sad to. It's really sad of, like, of what John Belushi went through. So it's really sad. He did have a good impact on some of the films that he was involved in, most notably Blues Brothers and Animal House.
And of course, John Belushi was in the 1941 movie directed by Steven Spielberg.
That is true. That is also true as well.
Speaking of directors, Steven Spielberg made a cameo appearance in the Blues Brothers.
That is right. I mean, it's kind of crazy. 45 years later, not only did we have like John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, John Landis, but we also have Steven Spielberg. He's basically a cameo in this movie. He plays the Cook County clerk who, at the end of the movie, was the one who gave Jake and Elwood the receipt for the money that they gave to him at the end of the movie, to save the orphanage.
And of course, they got cuffed up.
Yep, they got arrested. Exactly. Well, at least they finished the job.
Yes, they did. And speaking of cameos, John Landis made a cameo appearance in the 1941 movie with John Belushi.
That's true. Yeah, I have not seen the 1941 movie, but I do remember reading the cast list, and John Landis' name popped up since he made a cameo in that movie.
That was a surprise.
Yeah. Now anyway, that's basically, so that will basically tie the knots for our history. But anyway, let's look back at this movie. 45 years later, I say this movie holds up. After 45 years later, this movie aged very well.
Yes, it did.
Despite the troubled production, yes, the John Belushi and his trouble with cocaine, and of course he was late to the set at one point during some of the night shifts, I believe.
I mean, it's very difficult to film.
Right, because there were many scenes where they had to film at night.
Not only to deal with John Belushi, but all the stuff they had to do, like, with the buildings and stuff.
Right, they had the night shows, and then of course driving at night as well, including that first chase sequence where they drive through that mall.
That's right.
Yeah, and then yeah. But other than that, but then of course the destruction that happens, like. This movie cost $27.5 million, and there is so much destruction in that movie.
Yes, a lot of destruction.
Like, this movie will not cost $27.5 million today.
No.
This will not cost. I say between 100 to 200 million. With that type of destruction, that will cost between 100 to 200 million in today's budget.
Very expensive.
Yes. But $27.5 million, that may sound cheap, but it's not. At least for 1980 standards.
That's right.
But anyway, looking back at this movie as a whole, it aged pretty good. Do you agree with that, Mike?
I agree.
Despite the production, this movie, you look at this movie, to me, this is a love letter to Chicago. If you thought Ferris Bueller is the love letter to Chicago, take a look at the Blues Brothers. Uh-huh. Like, they literally drove everywhere around the Chicago area. Like, they went to Chicago. Like, the first scene, the opening of this movie takes place in Joliet.
Yes, Joliet, Illinois.
Joliet, Illinois. They went from Joliet, Illinois to Chicago.
It was dark in the opening.
Yeah, it was dark in the opening because it was nighttime.
And you see the factories.
Yeah, exactly. This is in Joliet. So this is literally in Joliet. And then of course later on down the line, like I said, they went to Chicago, and then they went to a Baptist church somewhere in Chicago. I believe it's somewhere in Chicago. Probably somewhere in Chicago where James Brown, James Brown who played the pastor or the priest.
Yes.
And then of course they went to Dixie Square Mall, which is actually in Harvey, Illinois.
Harvey, Illinois.
Yeah. which is basically the chase sequence.
Oh boy,
which is the chase sequence they went to.
I'm pretty sure that's where the budget went up.
And then of course they went to a Holiday Inn where they went to the Holiday Inn to get the Murph and the Magic Tones, or should I say, or whatever their names are. I mean, whatever their names are, Murph and the Magic Tones. Like they had to get Steve the Colonel Cropper, Donald Duck Dunn, Murphy Dunn, Willie Too Big Hall, Tom Bones Malone, Blue Lou Marini, which is actually Blue Lou Marini, Mac Guitar Murphy, and then of course Mr. Fabulous is the last guy they had to get at the Chez Paul restaurant, and I want to say in downtown Chicago, which I'm pretty sure is the same restaurant that they used in the Ferris Bueller movie. It looked like the same restaurant for the Ferris Bueller movie, don't you think? Oh yeah, it is. It is a similar set. Yeah, the Chez Paul restaurant was actually which is actually the Chez Paul restaurant, because a replica of the restaurant's interior was used for a scene in the 1980 film The Blues Brothers, and then of course a similar set was used in the 1986 movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Wow.
Unfortunately, that restaurant closed in 1995, and the building is currently used for office space. So yeah, they went through other places as well. Then of course they got tied up with the Illinois Nazis. Illinois Nazis. I hate Illinois Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course one of them is being played by Henry Gibson.
Yes, Henry Gibson, and he actually voiced Wilbur in Charlotte's Web.
Yep, I remember. Yep, he actually played Wilbur in Charlotte's Web. And then of course they had to go. They basically ran through the Nazi party and runs them off a bridge, I should say. Of course, they also found Blue Lou Marine. They found, although of course they got Blue Lou Marini, and of course Murphy, Murphy's wife's being played by Aretha Franklin.
It was taking place in the diner restaurant.
Yes, in that diner restaurant. And of course, John Lee Hooker had a cameo in that. John Lee Hooker had that cameo as well.
The song was actually extended. John Lee Hooker, while he was singing, it was extended.
Mm-hmm. And then of course, they got the band back together. They go to this restaurant, Bob's Country Bunker. I think that's what it's called. And of course, Joliet Jag was like, tonight only, good old Blues Brothers, something like that, instead of the good old boys.
Yes, it says tonight only, the good old boys.
Unfortunately, the Blues Brothers have to, pay off their tab for the beers that they drank.
Yeah, but they actually got screwed on that point.
Unfortunately, they got away, and now they're being chased by Bob, and of course the Good Old Boys band, who were late to the party.
I mean, you're the good old boys.
You're the good old boys. Well, they did that. At least the Blues Brothers gave a good musical number, Rawhide. Rollin', 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 rawhide. Yeah! Keep 'em rollin', rollin', rollin'. Through the streams are swollen. Keep the doggies rollin', rawhide.
The rain and wind and weather, hell bent for leather.
Wishing my gal was by my side. Of course, this is a song that they're singing. They're singing this song. I mean, my goodness, like. When you think of obviously that's the name of the TV show as well. That's the TV show, Rawhide. That's basically the theme that they played. Move 'em out. Head 'em up. Move 'em out. Rawhide. Come 'em out. Ride 'em in. Cut 'em out. Rawhide. Yeah! Oh, man. Like, you could definitely tell the Blues Brothers were basically having fun with that. In fact, that was like that was basically an emergency song because apparently they were supposed to sing, country western music, but unfortunately the Blues Brothers only know, Blues Brothers music, right?
Yes, and and also Joya J brings in a whip.
That's right. Even everybody, even all the customers in that bar was like, "What the hell is this shit? This ain't country western music." And they're all throwing beer bottles. They're all throwing beer bottles at that chicken fest that they were, that was basically used for protection, right? And Elwood was like, "Okay, guys, we gotta think of something at Bass. Rawhide it is."
Yep.
All right. So anyway, that's enough about that. But anyway, yeah. After that whole country western after that whole country western rawhide, Jake and Elwood continue on their adventure, also to get people out to come out to their big show of the night, which is basically, I forgot the name of the show. I forgot the name of the place that they were at during the finale. But man, I'm not gonna lie. During that finale, it was pretty good. That's where they sang, "Everybody needs somebody. Everybody needs somebody
To love. To love us. Someone to love.
Oh man, that is such
Before that,
They ran out of gas. After touring around the Chicagoland area. They also name dropped DuPage County.
that's right.
Shout out to the Blues Brothers for name dropping DuPage County. Woo! Love the recognition. Anyway, this also gets the attention of the good old boys as well.
Yep. So they were able to come to the show.
They came to the show. So is the entire police squad, along with John Candy as well.
Yep, the late John Candy.
Yep. So anyway, they're all watching the show.
Well, before they did the song, and yes, they were able to gas up the car. Dan Aykroyd was flirting with Twiggy,
Oh yeah.
including the Minnie the Moocha song,
Yeah, from Cab Calloway.
an extended song, Minnie the Moocha.
Dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. And here's the thing. How did they transition to those nice tuxedos anyway?
Yeah, I mean, how?
I do not know, but it's the 80s, Mike. Just roll with it.
Yep, and everyone loves it.
Yep, everyone loved it, and then the Blues Brothers came in, sang their song, and then, of course, sang Sweet Home Chicago as well.
Yes, and they both saw the police. And while they're singing, they actually waved at the cops, including John Candy.
Right, they really gave a shout out to the law enforcement for that.
Yep.
Even though they're being pursued by law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
All because he ran a red light.
Yep. And
The light was yellow, sir.
that's right.
Well,
and
it was Elwood who did it, but unfortunately he had many parking violations.
Yep.
He had many parking violations,
And his
which
license.
included 116 parking tickets and 56 moving violations with those schematis or whatever they're called.
His driver's license was taken away, but unfortunately he floors it.
He floors it. Even John Belushi is like, first you lied to me about the band, then you traded the Bluesmobile for a microphone. Now you're gonna throw me right back to the joint.
We're not gonna get caught. We're on a mission from God. Now flooring.
Yeah, absolutely a red flag. Obviously a red flag, but of course, they're on a mission. Well, he should not have messed with Elwood should not have messed with law enforcement right there.
Nope.
Yep, because law enforcement are basically right up their ass.
Yep.
And what I mean by that, I'm talking about the Blues Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I mean shit, man. They really got they're basically screwed at this point. But unfortunately, the Blues Brothers, they always succeed.
Yes, they do. Up until they got caught with Carrie Fisher.
Exactly, because apparently Carrie Fisher plays this mysterious woman who turns out to be you know, um,
Yeah.
Jake's girlfriend,
Yep.
and
Oh.
she basically holds, I forgot what the gun was, but man, she holds that she holds that freaking machine gun.
Oh, probably a
She holds.
bazooka.
I don't think it's a bazooka. Well, actually, she holds a bazooka at the beginning of the movie, but she holds a different gun in her hands at the end of the
Yes.
movie.
Well, actually she was in Chicago, and she sees Joya, Jake, and Elmwood Blues trying to find a place to sleep. Well, before that, they were able to park the car in the garage,
Yeah.
to which it was also cut.
Right. And you know what's kind of weird about this too? Like Jake left the mystery woman Carrie Fisher's character in the altar.
The altar?
Yeah. They were originally going to get married.
Oh.
Yeah, they were originally going to get married. And apparently Jake left her. Yeah, yep. So I guess serving prison time in Joliet wasn't enough for Joliet Jake. Apparently his his former fiance came after him.
Yes. Also, the Peter Gunn's theme was played in the background while Joya, Jake, and Elmwood Blues was trying to find a place to sleep.
Exactly.
Well,
Dun 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 dun.
and Carrie Fisher shows up too.
Yeah, pretty much what I really like about that movie was that Peter Gunn theme playing in the background. Oh man, that really sums up the mystery woman pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, she had a crazy role, Carrie Fisher.
Well, Princess Leia wasn't the only role. She probably got her training through Stormtrooper Academy to hunt down Joliet Jake.
And that movie, the Blues Brothers, came out the same year Star Wars Episode 5 came out.
Yep. I mean, which is also 45 years old as well.
Yep.
All right. So anyway, let's get back to the ending. So they're basically on pursuit. They're basically on the run. It's 106 miles to Chicago.
We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses.
Hit it.
And the cops were also trying to escape from this hotel area too, up until the tires explode.
Because I think Elwood put something in the tires.
He brought in some kind of a spray, an
aerosol spray. I forgot what it was, but he picked it up at the factory.
Yes.
Before he quit his job. And of course that stuff, it kind of blew up one of the tires and it caused a blockage for the police squad.
Yep.
But thankfully they were able to pursue the brothers, and then of course they drive all the way to Chicago from nighttime to daytime.
Also, the Good Old Boys was part of it too.
Apparently, they crashed into the river because Elwood put something on the accelerator.
It was glue.
Yep, glue.
Strong stuff.
And then, of course, the head band leader for the Good Old Boys said, "Don't you say a frickin' word."
Yeah, and also Twiggy showed up.
Oh
in the,
my goodness!
In the motel area.
Oh my goodness! If you thought Jake leaving Carrie Fisher on the altar was bad enough, Elwood just left Twiggy. Elwood just left Twiggy hanging at a hotel inn or something.
Yep.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
Yep. We got 2 sticks in the mud now.
Yep. And of course, John Candy and who's in car 55.
Yep.
They're stuck in the truck.
Yep.
They're stuck in the truck because that car 55 flew into that truck.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm pretty sure they were able to survive.
Yes, they survived. And then, of course, once they got to Chicago, the entire police squad is there too.
Yes. One of them riding on horses, and the others were on boats.
And then they got the helicopters coming out as well.
I hope it's not the helicopters from the Twilight Zone, the movie.
No, that was way before that. Elwood keeps flooring it, and everything, like all the police cars crash into one another until they caught up to the Illinois Nazis who were chasing them as well.
Yes.
And they're playing Flight of the Valkyries.
Ride of the Valkyries.
They were playing, Ride of the Valkyries. Thank you.
Yes, it was playing in the background. This is obviously the icing on the cake.
It's so funny. It is so funny. And on top of that, Henry Gibson's character says faster, twice.
And of course, before they got into this broken bridge, the motor is going on rotten.
Yep, the motor is busted
From the blue.
I think it was from the
car.
I think they were driving so long.
Yes, they were driving so long, and
I thought it was because the Nazis shot the car.
I don't
Probably
know.
one of those cases.
Probably one of those cases, and Julia Jake was trying to wipe it off.
Right, and then it was also funny too. They're driving on a bridge that is under construction, and this car had to do this backflip. I'm like,
What?
what the hell? But I don't. But man, that was crazy. But come on, it's the Blues Brothers. You know they're gonna pull off some crazy stuff like that.
Yes, and
so the Nazis drove off the bridge, and the passenger Nazi was like, "Holy shit!" and they fly off the bridge. And they're flying. It's a different type of screen. I don't think it's a green screen. I forgot what it's not a green screen they're driving by, but it's like one of those moving screens, right?
yeah.
It was long before green and blue screen. There's this certain type of screen that they have, for the background. They're basically flying over it, and it adds to the comedy too.
Yes.
And they're basically flying from the Sears Tower, landing to the streets.
Yes, they already accepted their fate.
Yep.
And the second in commander says, "I always loved you."
Yeah.
And all the other.
Well, he confessed his love for that guy.
And the other Illinois Nazi group met their fates too.
Yep. Until then, they reached over to what was that building? I forgot that building.
I mean, the Cook County.
Yeah, the Cook County building.
The Cook County building, and they were going through, and they actually broke through the windows.
Yeah, they broke through the windows, and apparently the Bluesmobile tore itself apart.
Yes.
Bit by bit. Defeated. Oh, no. And then Jake and El will go inside.
Come on!
Yep. Let's go. They go inside. They had to barricade the doors. They asked the security guards where the office is. They had to take the elevator all the way up. Until then, the entire police squad, including the fire department, including state troopers, I think, and of course, on top of that, the entire Illinois National Guard.
The U.S. Army.
Yes.
Including the
Yeah, the soldiers that go, the SWAT team that goes.
Including the helicopters too.
Yep. And then, of course, when they came inside, the guy says, one of the officers says, "Hey, have you seen those two guys in?
Black hats, black suits, and white shirts, and one carrying a briefcase?"
And then the security guard was like, "Yeah, I sent him down there."
Thank you.
Like they literally started charging. Like they know they got them.
Because their days have been ruined by the Blues Brothers.
Exactly.
And the Blues Brothers, I'm pretty sure they caused a lot of damage.
They did. They caused a shitload of damage. Shitload. Yep. But like I said, they were on a mission.
Yes.
And then once Joliet, Jake, and Elwood Blues got up to the top, they destroy the
buttons of the elevator.
They destroy the elevator buttons. That way the police cannot get up there. But unfortunately, they're running up the stairs.
Yes, I'm pretty sure the elevator is broken.
Yes, the elevator is broken. And then once they got to the office,
they had to barricade the door.
They barricaded the doors once more. Until then, they saw a sign that says, back in 5.
Yes, and you also got the other U.S. Army, the police squad, and everyone else involved because they're not stopping.
Right. And then
They and they're waiting for someone to come in. And another scene was also cut too. Is they were doing they're snapping their hands like
yeah, they're basically waiting, right?
and then the helicopter shows up again.
Yep, the helicopters show up.
And then
Steven Spielberg comes on out as the county clerk. He's like, "Can I help you?"
yes, they're giving the money. They're giving the money.
The $5,000. Apparently, they actually got $10,000, but some of the money went to that music store that they were at. Ray
Yeah.
Charles.
Yeah.
Because Ray Charles also had a cameo in that movie as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. $5,000 is all there, pal.
Yep. Gave them $5,000, and then of course got the receipt.
Well, before getting the receipt, the whole army came in and they're on the 11th floor, and then they actually had to shoot down the door.
Yep.
And then breaking in the door once more, and then they were about to get the receipt. Steven Spielberg was like, "And here is your receipt."
And then handcuffs.
The entire force got their dirty looks on, and the Blues Brothers saw it.
Yep.
And Spielberg was like,
Can I leave now?
yeah, and
I'm pretty sure he left to do Indiana Jones after that.
yep, including Twilight Zone the movie.
Yep. So then, of course, they're in the county, and of course, they're back in jail, and they're singing Jailhouse Rock.
To which Elvis Presley did.
Yep. And now it's the Blues Brothers singing it.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, an extended ending of the Blues Brothers, which is the Jailhouse Rock.
Yep. Dancing to the Jailhouse Rock.
Dancing to the Jailhouse Rock, and then you also got the cast. You also got the cast coming in.
Yep. And of course, the crew as well.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And then once everyone is dancing, all the police came in.
Because of riots, right?
Yes.
Jail riot or
Yeah,
prison riot, I should say.
prison riots, and that was also cut in the movie. That was also cut in the final in the theatrical cuts up until the extended cuts. came
Right.
in.
And then, of course, you got the end credits are playing. And it's basically, everybody needs somebody, right?
Yep. Someone to love.
Someone to love. And that's basically about it. We were talking about this movie.
Yep.
Now, even 45 years later, even us talking about this movie, it's amazing how much is in that movie, right?
Yes, it is amazing. I
But-
would say John Belushi did a fantastic job.
So did Dan Aykroyd. Everybody involved with this movie did a fantastic job.
John Landis also did a very good job as well. Same with Steven Spielberg for his cameo, and
George Fossey Jr. as well.
Steven Spielberg and John Landis were actually buddies at the time.
At the time, long before Twilight Zone the movie.
Yep.
And then, obviously enough,
Yes. And
including the music as well. The music in this movie is really, really good.
yes.
I mean, it's the Blues Brothers music. Obviously, they're cover songs that are sung by the Blues Brothers, but it's still good.
Mm-hmm.
Like even the music there is during the church scene with James Brown, there was actually a theme for the Baptist church in that movie. It's called God Music. That is actually instrumental and vocalized by Elmer Bernstein.
Elmer Bernstein?
Yeah,
He didn't do the.
he did the God Music for that, just for that scene.
Mm-hmm. Well, before.
The one that shines on the light, which is basically God's light
Yeah.
shining on Jake, the holy
Yeah.
light that is shining on Jake.
And he was like, the band. The band.
And James Brown was like, "Do you see the light?
Yes, I do see the light.
The band, Elwood, the band."
The band. The band.
Yep, that was a good way for Elmer Bernstein to come in.
Yep.
And then of course she got Caddy, which is basically played in the opening,
Yep.
which is basically the introduction to the Blues Brothers themselves. John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, Peter Gunn theme, which is played after the chase sequence, and then of course "Give Me Some Lovin'." Then you also have "Shake a Tail Feather," which is sung by Ray Charles in this movie. After after stopping a little thief from stealing the guitar, who turns out to be the same guy who played Argyle in Die Hard.
Yep.
Yep, and then of course "Everybody Needs Somebody to Love," the old landmark "You Gotta Think" by Aretha Franklin.
You gotta think.
Theme from Rawhide, "Minnie the Moocher" by Cab Calloway. "Sweet Home Chicago." Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on. Yep, "Sweet Home Chicago." And then "Jailhouse Rock." Like, these songs, I'm not gonna lie, this movie's got a good soundtrack. I mean,
It does.
it's got a damn good soundtrack.
It does. It does have a good soundtrack.
Like, even the "Sweet Home Chicago," like, I'm walking by, like, you go to the Bears, you go to Soldier Field, and for a split second you hear "Sweet Home Chicago" playing on one of the speakers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing, right?
It is amazing.
And you was also amazing too. At one of the movie theaters, I think it's called Hollywood Boulevard, I believe, in Woodridge. There is an actual Bluesmobile with Dan Aykroyd on top.
Really?
Yeah, if you look it up at one of the Hollywood theaters in Illinois, I think it's the Hollywood Boulevard. There's an actual statue of Elwood Blues on top of the Bluesmobile at the Hollywood Theater in Woodridge, Illinois, and it really shows how popular the Blues Brothers are. Even though I wish Joliet Jake is on top of that Bluesmobile with Elwood, but you know what? It is what it is.
Yep.
But it shows how popular the Blues Brothers is.
Yes. Well, up until they made a sequel to which it came out in 1998.
And then they made a sequel.
Without John Belushi, Cap Calloway, and John Candy.
They made a sequel. I mean, you know what?
With-
It is what it is, you know?
Along with John Landis directing, to which it did not go up to par to what the original had.
Because the original was a classic.
Mm-hmm.
The original was a classic, and it's tough. It's tough because it's trying to top what the original had. Because what made the original movie so good is that they had a lot going on with the original movie.
Yes.
You had a good cast, you had a good script, you got a good soundtrack, got a good setting. That's what made the film so good to begin with.
It's in our own backyard.
Exactly. But anyway, music was pretty good. The acting was good too. Even setting was so good too. Like, I said enough already about Chicago, but my goodness,
Yeah.
gotta appreciate the Blues Brothers taking place in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, to conclude this episode, let's talk about some trivia for this. Let's talk about some trivia right here, shall we? So anyway, some performers were not used to lip syncing to pre-recorded songs, standard procedure for movie musicals. James Brown ended up singing his number live with a recorded backing, with the rest of his choir was lip syncing. John Lee Hooker's performance of Boom Boom was recorded live at Chicago Maxwell Street Market. Aretha Franklin's performance is cut together from many, many takes, using the parts where her lip syncing was actually in sync. I guess the filmmakers were able to think, right?
Yes.
You gotta think. Oh, going back to Carrie Fisher. Remember I said about how Joliet Jake left Carrie Fisher on the altar?
Yeah.
Well, apparently, actually, here's the thing. Here's something that is interesting. Carrie Fisher was actually engaged to Dan Aykroyd during this shoot, shortly after he saved her from choking by applying the Heimlich maneuver.
Oh.
And, and Dan Aykroyd said to Carrie Fisher's character after they were leaving,
Yeah.
take it easy.
So yeah, 2 sticks in the mud.
Yep. And then, of course, John Belushi disappeared while filming one of the night scenes. And, of course, John Belushi disappeared while filming one of the night scenes. Dan Aykroyd looked around and saw a single house with its lights on. He went to the house and was prepared to identify himself, the movie, and that they were looking for Belushi. Before he could, the homeowner looked at him and smiled and said, "You're here for John Belushi, aren't you?" The homeowner told them Belushi had entered their house, asked if he could have a glass of milk and a sandwich, and then crashed on their couch. Situations like that prompt Aykroyd to affectionately dubbed Belushi America's guest. And John Belushi was nicknamed Black Hole because he went through hundreds of pairs of sunglasses during production. He would do a scene and then lose the pair before the filming the next one.
The Black Hole?
You know, glasses. His glasses. Yeah, he lost them. And of course, here's something. 103 cars were wrecked during this film.
Yeah.
Like I said, this movie would not cost $27.5 million after 45 years. 103 cars, that is insane.
Pretty sure they used props for it.
Wow. And then the Junkman broke the record 2 years later, 150 cars in a plane. Until The Matrix Reloaded came out with over 300 cars.
Whoa.
Yep. Whoa. So anyway, moving forward, when Cab Calloway originally recorded Minnie the Moocha in the 1930s, the chorus lyrics were simply, "Hody, hody, hody, ho."
Hody, 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 ho.
In an interview, Calloway explained that one time when he was singing the song, he suddenly forgot the words, so he immediately shouted, "Hody, hody, hody, ho." Actually, it was supposed to be hody, 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 ho. Hody, 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 ho.
Hody, 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 ho.
Heedy, 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 hee.
Heedy, 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 hee.
Unfortunately, this proved to be more popular with fans for the original, so he had been singing it that way ever since. Actually, here's something interesting. Dan Aykroyd's original script was so long that as a joke, Aykroyd had it bound in the covers of the Los Angeles Yellow Pages.
Yellow Pages?
Yep. Anyway, here's something that is interesting. For the 30th anniversary of the movie, the Vatican newspaper L'Osservatore Romano, they called the film a Catholic classic, recommending it as a good viewing for Catholics.
That is true.
You know what? Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Anyway, moving forward, according to John Landis, John Belushi sprained his back falling down the stairs in the desk from the Penguin's office. He was in a back brace and on painkillers for the rest of filming.
Oof.
Oh, that's right. They were visiting the Penguin.
Yep.
Because apparently, apparently Jake told the Penguin, "Well, I guess you're up shit creek."
Ooh.
Yep, and she smacks him and Elwood at the same time.
Yes, and John...
and of course...
Joya Jake was still stuck in the seat.
Yeah, Joya Jake was stuck in the seat until he broke it falling down the stairs.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Penguin told the Blues Brothers, "Don't come back until you redeemed yourselves."
Mm-hmm.
But of course, even Elwood told Joya Jake, "You gotta make a path towards the redemption. You gotta go to church."
You gotta make a path towards redemption. You gotta go to church.
Yeah, but that's a memorable line. I mean, shit. This movie's got memorable lines, and this movie has a lot of memorable lines.
Yeah.
Like it's got some memorable lines. We're on a mission from God. You gotta make it towards the path towards redemption. You gotta go to church.
You gotta make a path towards redemption. You gotta go to church.
And then of course you got the 106 miles to Chicago. It's dark. We're wearing sunglasses. Full tank of gas. It's 106 miles to Chicago.
We got a full tank of gas, have a pack of cigarettes, it's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses.
Hit it. And then there's a few other lines. There's other lines too in that movie, including the Schematas lines. You know, when they were pulled over by the police because Elwood ran at red lights, but of course he says the light was yellow, sir.
That is true.
Even the watch broke a few times from the police officers.
And of course, speaking of watches, Joya Jake's watch, Time Digital watch, was broken in the opening of the film, where Frank Oz's character was brought in a box of stuff for Joya Jake.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And I'm gonna quote out from Frank Oz, one Timex digital watch broken.
Yep. Yep. So anyway, moving forward. Just to move forward, the opening scene where the guards were at the prison, fired at the helicopter, filmed overhead shots. So anyway, going to the opening of the movie, while filming of the opening scene, guards at the prison fired at the helicopter, filming overhead shots, thinking it was an attempt to spy on the structure. Huh. You know, they didn't realize that they were filming. You know, it was a movie they were trying to film. You know.
Oh.
It was a misunderstanding. You know.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. It was a misunderstanding. Yeah, because they think they were spies, but no, they were just trying to film. They're trying to pull a scene. For the movie, right? Anyway, here's something interesting. Most of the chase scenes had to be filmed twice. The first times, pedestrians had been cleared from the area for safety reasons. However, the lack of reference made the chases look fake, as if they had been sped up. They were filmed again with extras to give a frame of reference. And yes, Mr. T had to get out of the way for that.
Oh, you better watch out because Mr. T is on the run. Because he's gonna, if he gets run over, he'll pity the fool on the Blues Brothers.
Good thing that didn't happen.
Nope. I gotta get ready for Rocky 3.
I'm pretty sure that's what he was doing. Getting ready for Rocky 3. So anyway, the scene where Jake and Elwood were sneaking out of the concert? They were in this tunnel. It was actually filmed underneath Chicago in a defunct electric narrow gauge railway system. The railroad was used to carry coal and freight its ashes out of town. Later, one of the tunnels under a river was breached and the tunnels flooded, filling most of the basements in downtown Chicago with river water.
So it was...
That was during, the confrontation between,
with
Carrie Fisher, right?
So this was in Chicago, right?
Yeah. This was Chicago. Also, I mentioned at the episode that John Belushi had trouble, with, cocaine. He had a drug problem, right?
Yes.
So apparently when John Belushi wasn't on set, he went everywhere in Chicago. When he did, everybody was slipping him vials and packets of coke. That was in addition to what he could procure or have procured for himself, often consumed in his trailer, or at a private bar on set he had built for himself, his longtime friends, the cast, and any visiting celebrities. Carrie Fisher, who John Landis had warned to keep Belushi away from drugs, if she could, said almost everyone who had a job there also dealt, and the Patreons could and did score almost anything there.
Yes, that was tough.
Because John Belushi had a problem with cocaine, right?
He does.
A drug problem, and of course this also happened on Saturday Night Live back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Even John Belushi admitted that while they were doing production of this movie. But anyway, rest in peace to John Belushi, though.
Yeah, rest in peace.
This guy, he really left a name for himself for many films. Like Blues Brothers and Animal House, including Saturday Night Live, are going to go down as his biggest as some of his biggest achievements out there.
Yep.
All right. Anyway, you remember the line, "They broke my watch"? That was actually mentioned 3 times. And it happened when the broken watch theme starts when Jake's broken watch is returned to him when he is released from prison, which is during the scene with Frank Oz, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then of course that happened again in the shopping mall after the Blues Brothers got away. And it has also happened and then of course the third time happens in a pile-up under the elevated train line, even when the police are in a rollover ditch. Oh, here's something that is interesting. In the original script, the Illinois Nazis in this movie were trying to buy the orphanage and set it up as their new headquarters.
Oh no.
That would not go over well.
Nope.
I'm actually glad that did not happen.
I'm actually glad it didn't.
Because that would not look good.
Uh-uh.
Nope. That would, in my opinion, that would defeat the film's purpose. You know,
This
the
would
purpose of this movie. You know, they were on a mission. Jake and Elle were on a mission from God to save the orphanage, right?
this would literally hurt the film.
It would have hurt the film, and the purpose of what Jake and Elwood were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would be both in prison for the entire film.
I'm actually glad that original idea was scrapped. I'm actually glad that did not happen. Also, John Wayne's son, you know, John Wayne, the Duke himself.
Yeah.
John Wayne's son, Ethan Wayne, was a stunt driver on the film.
I didn't notice that. I'm pretty sure it was for the chase sequence where Julia, Jake, and Owen Blues were on an unfinished bridge.
Probably, yeah.
And then they had to like.
I don't know. I don't know how many. I don't know. But man, I'll say this: there was a lot of stunts going on in that movie.
Yep.
Also, at the end of the movie, after the Universal Studios logo is shown, there is an ad for Universal Studios in Hollywood. Below, when in Hollywood, visit Universal Studios. It says, "Ask for Babs." The same appeared in National Lampoon's Animal House, which came out in 1978. Babs is the Animal House character Babs Jensen, and it reappeared in Blues Brothers 2000 in 1998, underneath a new Universal Studios Hollywood logo at the end of that movie.
They did that with Animal House as well.
Mm-hmm. Also, going back to Carrie Fisher once more, she was the guest host of SNL and Carrie Fisher, the Blues Brothers, 1978, in which the Blues Brothers were the musical guests.
Ah.
Yep. That's when they were singing Soul Man.
Mm-hmm. I'm a soul man.
Dun, 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 I'm a soul man. Alright. Also, at the time of this movie was the most expensive film ever made, costing $30 million. For comparison, Steven Spielberg's contemporary film 1941, which came out in 1979, cost $35 million. It was even rumored that Landis and Spielberg engaged in a rivalry, the goal of which was to make the more expensive movie. It's been suggested that it was admirable, since they were both friends and at the time have cameos in each other's films. Coincidentally, both films feature Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi, and John Candy.
But, like Mark mentioned, for the budget of Blues Brothers, $27.5 million, this will not cost $27.5 million today.
Nope. Also, here's something that is interesting, going back to Carrie Fisher once more. When she's in the hair salon doing her nails, hair, and dye, and reading the instruction manual for the flamethrower that she used to, blow up that phone booth.
Yep.
The three pictures on the table are Fisher's character and Jake Blues. In every picture, Jake is wearing his sunglasses and hat.
Wow.
Indicating that they were a couple.
Mm-hmm.
And then the SCMODs, the SCMODs stand for State County Municipal Offender Data System. Read out for Elwood as it follows. Blues, Elwood. Currently in suspension. Parking 116 parking tickets for 100. There's 116 parking tickets plus 56 movie violations. Impound the vehicle, arrest the driver.
Yep, that was actually shown in the movie.
Yep.
Until he floors it.
Yep, he floors it. Like Jake says, first you lied to me about the band, then you traded the Bluesmobile for a microphone, and now you're gonna throw me right back to the joint. And of course, the Palace Hotel, that was the name. The Palace Hotel Ballroom, that was the name of the hotel at the end of the movie. Where the band performs its climactic concert was at the time of filming a country club. But later became the South Shore Cultural Center, named after the Chicago neighborhood where it is located. The interior concert scenes were filmed in the Hollywood Palladium.
The Palace Hotel Ballroom?
Yep.
Wow. So that's the name of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, and of course, going to Dan Aykroyd, this was before Ghostbusters, right? And this actually happened at the phone booth because Elwood asked Jake, "Who are you going to call?" The same line delivery became the tagline for Ghostbusters, which Dan Aykroyd wrote and in which he starred. Furthermore, the part of Peter Venkman was initially written with John Belushi in mind, though due to Belushi's untimely death, it went to Bill Murray instead.
Oh, I'm pretty sure John Belushi was originally going to be in the Ghostbusters movie.
I think that was the original idea before he passed away in 1982.
Yep.
And then, of course, Kathleen Freeman, who played the Penguin, previously appeared in Singing in the Rain with Carrie Fisher's mother, Debbie Reynolds.
Wow.
Carrie Fisher wasn't the only celebrity to play the Mystery Woman. Apparently, Olivia Newton-John was considered for the role of the Mystery Woman, but she was unavailable as she was working on Xanadu.
So Olivia Newton-John was originally going to play the crazy lady, right?
Yep. But unfortunately, she was in a different movie.
Ah.
She had to do another. She had to do Xanadu. And of course, going to Steven Spielberg's cameo, he appears in this film as a favor to director John Landis, who frequently casts fellow directors in small roles. Spielberg has done the same in 3 of his films, which includes Francois Truffaut in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Richard Attenborough in Jurassic Park, and David Lynch in The Fabelmans.
Wow.
Yep.
He does have cameos in that movie?
He always likes his cameos, right?
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, Richard Attenborough was more extended a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, David Lynch. We all know David Lynch, who played John Ford in The Fabelmans. They told me you wanted to be a picture maker, huh? Why?
What do you know about art?
Art, kid. Where's the damn horizon? and like he said, and this is actually a real thing that happened to Spielberg. That's actually a real thing that Spielberg did, you know? That's a real thing that actually happened. That's a real conversation that actually happened. That John Ford told a young Steven Spielberg, but also, a young Fableman. When the horizon's at the top, it's interesting. When the horizon's at the bottom, it's interesting. When the horizon's in the middle, it's boring as shit. Now, good luck, son, and get the hell out of my office.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Ah, man, hey, good to have small roles or cameos.
Yep.
Here's another thing to mention. This is during Rawhide. On the set, there was a version on cassette the Blues Brothers band did of Rawhide that included the lyrics, "Stun him, shook him, kill him, ride him, cut him out. Rawhide." It was recorded but never used.
Huh.
Uh-huh.
There's another one. The Mystery Woman's red car is a 1977 Pontiac Grand Prix.
Yep. Remember, wait, we're going back to the 09 Nazis. Gruppenführer, that was mentioned by Henry Gibson's character.
Yeah.
Gruppenführer. That's when he was listening to that radio about the license plate.
Yeah.
He said it to the group. He says Gruppenführer, which means group leader. Isn't he the group leader? That doesn't make sense. Well. But he did say that line.
Yep.
And then, they gotta catch those sons of bitches.
Mm-hmm.
He said that. That Henry Gibson's character said that too after getting thrown off the bridge.
Yep.
And actually, here's a couple of other things. Since we were talking about a little bit about since there were some cameos in this movie, Paul Rubens played the waiter. Serving Jake and Elwood. Pee Wee Herman himself. Yep, he was the waiter.
Yep.
And then, of course, obviously we mentioned Frank Oz. Actually, there was also a name drop for Miss Piggy, right?
Yeah.
Because Frank Oz played Miss Piggy on the Muppets.
Mm-hmm. While holding up a stuffed Grover toy.
Yep. Because I guess I guess you could say the Muppet movies were starting to become a little more popular because 1979 was the first Muppet movie.
Yes.
And then when that other Muppet movie came out?
1981.
Okay, so right after the Blues Brothers then. Mm-hmm. So I guess they were still in production for that.
Yes.
Well, there's also funny too because this is also funny too. This is a nod to Oz, the man who provides both Muppet voices a toy version of two more Muppets, Oz, also performed, are visible in the same shot. It was during the Toys R Us chase. It was during their first chase sequence.
Yeah.
There is a stuffed. There is a animal stuffed toy sitting next to the counter, and Cookie Monster is visible on a shelf in the background.
Oh.
And the man with the toy is Gary McLarty, the stunt coordinator of this movie and of National Lampoon's Animal House.
So, a stuffed Cookie Monster and a stuffed animal toy, huh?
Yep.
Animal. Cookies. Nom 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 nom.
Like this movie's so good. 45 years later, this movie is so good. But anyway, that is about it for the trivia, folks. So there you have it. That's enough for the trivia. So anyway, Mike, any closing remarks for, Blues Brothers after 45 years?
Well, 45 years later, it still holds up, and we actually enjoyed watching it over and over again. And of course, I'm actually happy to be on this episode.
Mm-hmm. Glad to have you on board for this episode, Mike.
Yep. And once again, rest in peace to John Belushi.
Rest in peace to John Belushi, Cab Calloway, John Candy, Carrie Fisher,
Ray Charles, everyone else involved in this movie.
Yeah, rest in peace
to everyone.
Rest in peace to those. Big shout out to everybody who was involved with this movie. Rest in peace to John Belushi, Cab Calloway, Carrie Fisher, John Candy,
Ray Charles, and everyone else involved in this movie.
Yep, everybody else involved in this movie. Fantastic job.
Yep.
All right, and that is it, folks. That is our take on the Blues Brothers movie. Plus, 45 years later, this movie still holds up. Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, that'll be a wrap for this episode. So anyway, what did you guys think of the Blues Brothers movie? Did you like this movie? Have you seen this movie? Did you not like this movie? Did you think this movie still holds up after 45 years later? I would love to hear your thoughts.
I would say this movie still holds up to this day.
I agree. But anyway, that'll be a wrap for this episode. So anyway, thank you all for tuning in to Codo Cinema. I'm your host, Mark Codo, aka Codo Man.
And I'm Mike Codo.
Remember to watch movies and stay positive.
Hit it.